Is Al Gore great or what? Just so we're clear, when I say great, I don't mean useful or smart. In this context, great is a synonym for hilariously pathetic. Years ago, while trying to make himself relevant after that devastating loss to George W. Bush in the 2000 presidential election, Al Gore made a famous prediction. He declared that by the year 2014, the ice caps would melt and we'd all have to paddle a canoe to work each day during our morning commute. Obviously, that didn't end up happening. It's been 4 years since 2014, and the ice caps never melted. In fact, in 2015, NASA said the Antarctic ice sheet was growing, not shrinking. Since then, other geologists have made similar observations. The point is, Al Gore was wrong. His inaccurate prediction made him the laughingstock of the climate science community. It wasn't even the first time the science community laughed at him. Years earlier, he claimed he invented the internet. I'm sure scientists thought that was pretty funny too. But now Al Gore is back with a new prediction or observation of sorts, and this time it's something he almost certainly won't get wrong. Last weekend, Al Gore proclaimed to the world that there was record-breaking heat, and if we don't do something soon, there will be dire consequences. Well, I'm paraphrasing. Here's technically what he said.
Another ominous record has been set. The city of Quiryat, Oman, hit an overnight low of 108.7 degrees on Tuesday. Likely the highest minimum daily temperature recorded on Earth. For those suffering from the heat in the U.S. this weekend, be safe and stay cool.
Quiryat, Oman. Isn't that a city in a Star Wars movie? No, actually, it's an obscure location in the Arab world where Islam is popular, technology is primitive, and scientist isn't a commonly chosen profession. All jokes aside, let's address what Al Gore is saying, or trying to say, that 108.7 degrees is extremely hot, which is true, and extremely uncommon, which is not true. In fact, the hottest temperature ever recorded was 135 degrees Fahrenheit, and it happened in Death Valley, California in 1913, which was 35 years before the invention of the Ford F-150, and a full century before Al Gore predicted we'd all drown to death when the polar ice caps melt. This idea that 108.7 degrees as a minimum temperature is something to be alarmed about is not necessarily grounded in reality, particularly because 108 degrees is not an uncommon temperature. The fact that it was a minimum temperature for that day in that region only speaks to the fact that we likely don't have accurate records of daily temperatures from that part of the globe over the past century or two. After all, this tiny little corner of the Middle East, it's not in a developed country. If California was reaching temperatures well beyond 108 degrees over a century ago, coupled with the fact that the Earth was once completely covered in lava, this occurrence is probably not as uncommon as Manbearpig would like us to believe. And it's just another example of Al Gore trying to convince the world that he's a science expert, which he's not. Look, I'm not suggesting we don't need to take care of the environment, nor am I saying we shouldn't be concerned about sudden, unusual shifts in weather patterns. I'm also not arguing that the world isn't slowly getting warmer. It's been doing that since the end of the last ice age. But Al Gore jumping on Twitter and trying to alarm everyone about a hot morning in a corner of the globe where none of us will ever travel or visit isn't something that you need to take seriously today, right in this moment. Al Gore is just repeating something that he saw on the news, but he's putting an alarmist spin on it. Ever since the dawn of time, there's always been somebody that says, the sky is falling, but usually it's not. Al Gore doesn't know what this information means or why it happened. Again, he's not a scientist. He's barely even a politician. Al Gore hasn't held an office since 18 years ago, and since then, the only thing he's really done with his life is divorce his wife, rack up an absurdly expensive home utility bill, something along the lines of $30,000, then he inaccurately predicted the weather and tried to distort facts so he could scare people and convince us that he's still relevant. The main thing you should take away from this news is simply this. Al Gore doesn't matter. His tweets don't matter. He's not an expert at anything, and he's made a fortune off scaring people by cherry-picking news about the environment. Heck, He made $54 million off his 2006 film An Inconvenient Truth, and then close to $1 billion selling carbon credits, which is a marketplace that he invented. Not to mention the outrageous amount of money he's made off of his speaking fees. But while he's getting paid to talk for a living, Al Gore doesn't know what he's talking about. If he did, rather than scaring everyone into thinking the world is about to burst into flames, he'd acknowledge the fact that real scientists are actually predicting another mini ice age might be heading our way in, I don't know, another 15 or 20 years or so. Not only are there many experts who don't think the world will erupt into flames, but some of them think this ice age might be coming very soon, which is the exact opposite of what Al Gore says is going to happen. And just so we're clear, even that theory is widely debated. The fact that actual experts in the field of climate science and geology are divided on what will happen to our planet's temperature over the next century should serve as proof that Al Gore isn't an authority on anything weather-related, short of the fact that he's pretty confident it gets hot in the summer and cold in the winter, which is essentially the only thing you would learn from following him on Twitter. And it's also the only reason why he tricked news outlets into reporting on his observation this week in the first place. Once again, Tipper's ex-husband tricked the media into thinking he's an expert, and they took the bait hook, line, and sinker. And by the way, if we're being totally honest, I took the bait too. That's the reason why you're even watching this video right now. Thanks for watching.